Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Creator Series. Welcome to Season 7, Round 5, and welcome to the Austrian Grand Prix here for Formula 2. My name is Jamie Perry. I am joined in the virtual commentary box by the wonderfully talented Adam Reed. Adam, how are you on this fantastic evening of racing?
Hello, Jamie. Looking forward to this absolute magical circuit around the Styrian Mountains. Of course, we know the Red Bull Ring. It's a very, very short circuit.
Yep.
One of those where you really have to keep an eye on everything going on around you because it's going to be such a tough start. The amount of cars that we normally get in a Formula 2 lobby, it is going to be one of those very, very hectic starts where everyone's going to just be trying to push away and trying to get whatever they can, especially off those 5 red lights. Expect a lot of action, a lot of overtaking, a lot of slipstreaming as well. So we get to look forward to all of that ahead of us. But yeah, there's only one man at this moment in time who has been absolutely dominating the Formula 2 scene. That is the Italian. I was going to say it's Italian stallion, but more like the Italian maestro. That is Lolo Noba. He's taken now the triple double as far as we are aware. Double win last time out in Spain, but absolutely he's been on an absolute roll. But can he be stopped around this time in Austria? He is looking pretty quick, I will give you that, but really have to wait and find out because it's not over till it's over here, Jamie.
No, absolutely. In other words, you could say he's going like a Boeing. Yeah, no, his statistics this season have been extraordinary. Lolo Noba's lowest position in a feature race was P2, and that took place at China in round 1. And as you mentioned, for the past 3 rounds at Canada, Qatar, and Spain, Lolo Noba has won every sprint and feature race. Lolo Noba currently sits at 124 points, which is 35 points ahead of F1 Alex in P2 with 89 points to his name. So well and truly dominating the field at the moment. Like I said, every feature and sprint race has been won by him for the last 3 rounds and clearly knows how to have a winner's mentality. So he's been on top of the game. Yeah, as the championship currently sits as well, you know, F1 Alex in P2. He's finished P2 in the feature race in Monaco, Qatar, and Spain. Did miss out a little bit more in Canada when the rain hit quite hard in both the sprint and feature. We had a bit of a mix-up in tyres, if people can refer back to that as well. But yeah, no, the championship so far is starting to widen out between P1 to P2. It's a little closer towards the middle part of the championship, and right now Constructors is also looking slightly more separated. We see Dams currently in P1, or sorry, Trident with Dams in P2, Prema Racing in a completely different mixture of numbers I'm seeing on my championship screen. I could be wrong there. But the point I'm making, the championship and drivers championship looking well and truly close and separated on different parts. And Lolo Noba once again proving that domination that we've seen so far.
Absolutely, I think it's just from what I saw last time out in Spain, because I was on the broadcast for Formula 2 Spanish Grand Prix. He just seems so comfortable in the car. There's not much that can stop him other than himself. He is just so connected with that Dams racing car. He's just able to extract everything. He must have been playing these games since he was a very young boy, and that just really proves us exactly how quick he is. But yeah, for sure, he's going to be one to watch out for. But just looking down the field, also, we do have the return of Hayden Gillis. So Hayden, unfortunately, missing the last 2 rounds in, yeah, of course, the last 2 rounds. But he will be back in the ART with Dark Viper. Both of those going to be with the French outfit for tonight. So really looking forward to seeing what both ARTs can do. In their kind of hope for glory, hope for championship battle. Yeah, Hayden had fallen down to 11th according to my statistics over here. Of course, missing Qatar and Spain, they've not been useful for him. Of course, he's looking to really try and bring it back up. Of course, Viper was a reserve. He took part in Qatar, and of course, still being a reserve. But yeah, we know that he's looking pretty quick there. And from what I've heard, may give Lolinoba a run for his money. Don't you think, Jamie? Or do you think it's still the Italian maestro that I now have to call him will be just that one on top?
No, I definitely agree. I will say, though, if we refer back to the Qatar sprint on the opening lap, it was actually Dark Viper G2 who was involved in an incident at turn 10. So it was actually Pondon who lost his rear end going into the corner, which then caused a collision with Dark Viper GT. Obviously, Dark Viper then lost his rear end, making contact between Matty D13 and Adam Sanderson, which then caused a significant amount of debris to spread and brought out, I believe, was a VSC, though I'll need to recheck that a little later on. But yeah, Dark Viper GT has had a lot of luck on his side. He clearly has a lot of pace. He's a very competitive driver, but he has been involved in a few incidents this season and previous seasons as well. So can he keep his consistency and his pace, but also keep the reliability that he has as a driver?
That's really good kind of observation there. You do need to keep yourself maintained, keep yourself grounded throughout some of these races. They can get super hectic, especially when maybe you got a bit of rain on the horizon, which I don't believe will be happening here in Austria. From the weather, it does seem pretty clear, and we do have that on very realistic. But just again, looking down the field, we do have the return, I believe, of the Brazilian Dan Moran, who has been getting a lot of support in the streams recently. I remember the chat going absolutely crazy in the Monaco stream, and everyone flying the Brazilian flag, and he's really one to keep an eye on, because I haven't seen Dan Moran before. Of course, I've never been able to commentate over him, so this is the first time I'm going to be watching the Brazilian. He's going to be in the Virtuosi, or should I say the Invicta Racing, as it's called now in 2024. But yeah, I think Moran is just going to be definitely one of those to keep an eye on. I think he might have some good strong pace, especially about that midfield section. I think he's been off the game a bit too long as far as I've been aware, but yeah, he's now looking to try and make that return back to the Formula 2 paddock, back to the Creator Series paddock, and for sure he will be one of those that will really try and string out a good set of results, especially in that midfield. But is there anyone else in here, Jamie, that you would say you want to kind of comment on and kind of give us somebody to keep an eye on throughout this whole entire broadcast?
I think there's a name that has kind of continued to echo his way through this entire season, and I think there's been a big step in terms of performance and competitiveness compared to what we saw in previous seasons, and that is Adam Sanderson. Obviously, I think I mentioned this back in the Canada stream about him having fantastic pace. I believe he, in Monaco, made around 13 positions, plus he had fastest lap, plus a 3-second time penalty, which got him that sprint win. And then also going back onto more newer rounds, considering Spain and Qatar and also Canada for that matter. He's always been near the front of the grid as of late, and he's been showing that competitive side that we didn't really see in previous seasons. So he's really started to step up in terms of pace, and he has that consistency. He has that knowledge to stay in a certain position, not lose out too much time, and also not get too complacent either. He knows how to keep that position to the best of his ability. He's a great defender.
It really is. And of course, getting into the lobby, we're just seeing now, from what I can see, just looking down that pit lane, but our Formula 2 drivers are ready, and I think we're going to be in for a very exciting start here. The driver just selecting their final options, their fuel load. If they want to go a little bit lighter for this first sprint race, of course, no mandatory pit stops for the sprint race in Formula 2. Of course, they'll also be selecting their tyres, which will possibly be the softs, but the medium tyres will also be an option around here. It's just, can you, it's more of the question, can you get those softs around this circuit to full efficiency? But here we go, clutch it in, built the revs, watch for the lights. Lights are held, and we go racing here at Spielberg. Decent start there from Jack Socials off from pole. Terrible start there from B-Roy off the 5 red lights, but in towards turn number 1. Who's that going around the outside? I think that's Jess Bull in the high-tech car, and they power their way all the way down towards turn 3 and up towards Rint curve. The yellow's at the back there, so hopefully not too much. In fact, it's Lolinoba down there in 19th, I think. So he's been knocked away there, but he's really struggling to get the back. Campos around, big contact, and an absolute car park. It's almost like the M25. Oh, I think that's also a Trident going off onto the grass there. That might be Adam Sanderson just checking down the grid, and it is. So it looks like they're just trying to make their way through a simple little grid here, but it's so difficult. And there is Hayden Gillis on his F2 return.
And it was also B-Roy and P18 who actually mounted onto another Formula 2 car, which helped him drop in position as he now continues into turn 7. But, yeah, as positions continue to gain and lose out here in Austria for the sprint race on the opening lap. Right now we can see Jack Socials has held onto that lead. Hayden Gillis on the outside line. The Alpine liveried car continuing to try and rotate to the best of his ability. The ART is kind of squeezed out as he approaches into turn 10. Finally gets a throttle down and is left with Dark Viper GT now up into P5 as Zach RC continues to lose momentum in the final corner. But now going into turn 1, what can Dark Viper GT do now? Gets the rotation necessary, and now sees Zach RC actually up to P5 with Dark Viper GT, still sticking wheel to wheel with him. Yellow flag at the very back of the field. McLaren liveried car. It's actually the MP Motorsport of Dirk Chockler who comes in to retire. Unfortunate for him as we continue back up through the field. Right now with Dark Viper GT, you can see continuing to go wheel to wheel with Zach RC in P5 as we approach into turn number 4 at Roche. Is he able to hold on to that inside line? Will he have to back out of it? Bit of a scrape from the gravel of Zach RC, but he holds on into P6. Right now loses out position to Dark Viper GT as he holds onto the outside line. It's been 2 abreast at different corners and sectors here at Austria, but as we continue further down, looks like Dark Viper GT well and truly has the lead ahead of those drivers. Not the lead of the race, however. Still holding on is Jack Socials with 2.5 seconds to his name, and right now racing continuing to battle away here around the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, they're just continuing to pass it out here. They make their way through that final corner. Jack Socials has a huge lead and is really, really deserving there. He managed to pull away from all the chaos, but again, Zach RC, we're having a look down the inside there at his up and Daz. They continue where sorry, that's Lolinoba having a look at Zach RC. So the Italian maestro now looking to try and make a move on the Carlin. Look at that down in towards turn number 3. A couple of minutes of Prima being involved in there. That's also a Van Amersfoort, and slipping through there is Dragonfly. Third in the championship, manages to squeeze on by Hoodie Pete there. The Italian in the Prima car is having a bit of a struggling session, but Jorrit Van Heffen is being overtaken here by Hayden Gillis. So Gillis is right on the power here and has managed to fight his way through. But look at that, Doug Viper also on the outside line. Can he get around the outside? He can. A good duck there. And a spinner. Oh, is that going to beat Jack Social? It is. He's out of the race. I did not expect that. The race leader spins at that left-hander, faces the field, and now finds himself out of the Grand Prix.
And it wasn't the only incident to take place. It was also Jessica Ball who went right into the rear of Adam Sanderson back at turn 4. Obviously, everything's now sorted itself out, but we can also see many people coming into the pit lane. Lolinoba, the man who currently leads the championship, coming into the pits, and we've seen on multiple occasions he's gone from the very back all the way to P1, but maybe not on this occasion. Patterson down to P9 against Chesnoid in P8, but moving up to P5 and up in Daz or U-Pandas, sorry, currently trailing with DRS, using the draft to slipstream to try and bring himself closer with what currently is a 3-way battle, trying to join as U-Pandas for a potential 4-way battle. For right now, with DRS active, can't seem to catch him, and it will continue to stay that way as they slowly strip down in elevation. Looks like Krizix is now up to P2, making sure to stick on that inside line, not trail out wide like we saw just then with yours sincerely on the gravel, and that allows you Pandas up to P4, wheel to wheel on the outside line. Can he make the move stick? Yes, he does. Up to P4 goes you Pandas, and right now continuing to show that consistency, and competitive's a bit too close to the rear end of Dark Viper GT, potentially losing a little bit of his front wing to the rear diffuser. Yellow flag a little further back, doesn't seem to be too affecting of too many drivers, but it seems you're sincerely dropping down a few positions. Now look at you, Pandas. Now really starting to bring himself closer towards Dark Viper GT with the DRS, has the slipstream in tow, he has the draft advantage, switches to the outside line, brakes late, downshifts the second gear, gets the rotation, and up to P3 goes you Pandas from Dark Viper GT. Now continuing on the inside line, you have Dragon Files as well, who's gonna joy win. It's 3 abreast as we go uphill, but now you can also see you Pandas has just snuck ahead and nose in, but as they go in the rotation, helping Dragon Files on the outside, sorry, inside, but now with Dark Viper GT taking the long way round, he's finding the betterment in terms of top speed, and as we approach into turn 4, it's Dragon Files who sends it down the inside. You Pandas in P4 falls down to P5 again, as Dark Viper GT once again takes the long way round. Defending the inside line is Dragon Files of Dark Viper GT still trailing, can't seem to get it shut down, still with the inside. Great defending taking place, and Dragon Files really trying to make sure he holds on to position. Dark Viper GT applying the pressure.
Red Bull Ring is really proving to be a treat here with the bouquet on top there, as Dark Viper just continues to wrestle his way around the circuit. Zach RC just been sitting back like he's in a cinema, and he's been watching some great box office stuff here. But will he go on the attack here for Dark Viper? He won't attack down in towards turn number 1, as you see the blue and yellow glistening helmet of Zach RC, very much known for his channel logo, and that's really come about with his helmet. Up and Daz, who seems to have been batting away with Chesnoid to the Trident, and the MP Motorsport having a battle. They're heading towards Amos at turn 3. Zach RC, big send there from the road in Motorsport car. In that Red Bull livery, but with a 3-second time penalty, this could be costly. He needs to get ahead there of Gerrit van Heffen, because he's now at this moment in time. Oh, someone off into the gravel. That's going to be Dark Viper, and he spins sideways. Had he been collected? That's my question. Luckily not. There's contact between two cars, but at this moment in time, there is Dark Viper rejoining onto the track, and I think that was maybe Chesnoid and Up and Daz once again having a bit of a tussle. The Victor goes into the back of the Van Amersfoort there. So F1 Damien having a right tussle there with Van Heffen, the Dutch driver, not too far away from his homeland in the Netherlands, is really starting to try and get some good results here. Remember, only the top 8 score points here in Formula 2 in this sprint race, so you're going to have to battle for every single position. Then it will change when we get into the feature race.
Plenty of positions currently being tussled for. You can see F1 Damien with a great getaway through turn 1. Looks like Gerrit Van Geffen currently in P7, just needing to maybe concede for position, and does exactly that as P7 now goes towards F1 Damien. F1 Alex is also going to send it down the inside on Gerrit Van Geffen. Now up to P8 goes F1 Alex, and also if we go a little further up, Chesnoid Gaming continuing to go 2 abreast through on the back straight here at Austria, approaching into turn 4. He actually backs out of it, braking early to avoid any type of contact that may take place, and actually go for a better exit against Zach RC in P4. Doesn't seem to look like he got the best of it. Currently brakes just after the 50-meter board, and Chesnoid Gaming really still trying to apply that pressure. As if we go just a little bit further back down to P7, F1 Damien continuing to trail right behind MP Motorsport, and right now it's almost approaching to potentially be a 4-way battle. It looks like, at least in terms of what we're seeing in terms of gap, it looks like Pandas is actually gaining on Chesnoid Gaming, and this could end up becoming a 4-way battle, and it almost looks like it has. DRS active with F1 Damien, Pandas, Chesnoid Gaming, and Zach RC is the recipient on losing all the time out, simply because he doesn't get the opportunity to get that rear wing open, runs wide from a bit too much of a send from F1 Damien, who now goes up to P5. Chesnoid Gaming gets the most of this advantage, now into P4, has a little bit more of a distance, so doesn't get overtaken immediately, but F1 Damien on the outside line, if he can get the throttle down in time, could have a good opportunity to potentially make a move down into turn 4. Right now, F1 Damien really starting to size up a move. Inside line does send it down. Braking late, little bit of a lock up on the front tires, but gets the rotation down, puts his foot on the loud pedal, and it's P4 for F1 Damien. Now you can see MP Motorsports, Pandas in P7, going down the inside of Zach RC, up to P6 he goes, and Zach RC now gets spun round, gets hit on the rear end by what looks to be potentially the Prema of F1 Alex, but it wasn't. It was Zach RC who now falls down to P11. Dan Moran goes up into the top 10, but no points currently being given, as Adam Sanderson is the one who will be the first one to score 1 point to his name, as you mentioned previously, is from the top 8 to P1, and a big contact that now separates the midfield just slightly more than what we saw previously.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolute breathtaking stuff all throughout the grid here. It's non-stop action, and meanwhile, while this is all going on, Hayden Gillis has absolutely no idea. He is seeing this as a Sunday stroll, as you can now see these guys having an absolute tussle and a half. They're acting like it's a free-for-all in a WWE wrestling ring. Up and down there, just continuing to try and hustle and how, but F1 Alex is the man on the chart. Sitting second in the championship, and he needs to get any positions possible here because his championship rival, Lola Nova, is down in 15th. And Up and Daz leaving Adam Sanderson to go through on that one. So the Trident sneaks on by there. Is that going to be a bit of DRS advantage? Is that Up and Daz saying, I can't catch those guys in front, I'm going to let Adam Sanderson go through, get some DRS off him, and try and go with him in this battle? But this is so close. Amongst our top maybe 4, 5, 6, I'd say definitely F1 Damien is leading the way with this one, but Chesnoid is following in behind. F1 Alex needs to get through on the Trident there. The Prema is being pushing and pushing and pushing all race long to see whatever he can get, as Adam Sanderson goes off the track as well. 3-second time penalty will be a bit of a slap on the wrist to him, because at the moment, look how many penalties are being given there. There goes Alex looking around the outside of the Trident, and a successful overtake there for the number 7, but the Trident just continues to hassle and hound there, and another dose of DRS being given by both cars. See the flap now open. Just didn't want to think about tyres in just a moment, because of course those soft tyres be able to last, as we do see F1 Alex on the gravel. He has gone off there, and he's going to concede a bunch of positions. Both Tridents have gone through there, so it's looking like a good result here from the factory team from Milan. But going back to the tyres, you just wonder, will these soft tyres be able to last the distance, or will these guys be straddling for grip by the time we get on to lap 13, lap 14?
Well, when you only have the option between the super softs and the softs, it's the only best option that you have available to you, as it wasn't the only driver who went off the circuit. I believe it was also yours sincerely who joined. I believe it was you Pandas who went off the circuit before, as you were mentioning, going into the gravel at the exit of turn 4. I could be wrong with that, though I am pretty certain of it. But Adam Sanderson in P6, fighting away with his Trident teammate of Chesnoid Gaming in P5. Looks for the outside line, but well and truly covered off by his teammate. No opportunity at all, but runs just a little bit too wide onto the sausage curb, and gives a perfect opportunity for Adam Sanderson to sneak on the inside line and up to P5, using his DRS towards his advantage, is also now also separated by 0.3 of a second. F1 Alex in P7, also starting to bring himself closer towards Chesnoid Gaming from that mistake he made out of the exit of turn 3, and as they make their way down into turn 6, needs to try and keep some of that pace that he saw just previously from turn 3. Doesn't look like he can stick with the Trident, and Pandas is also trying to stick in this little midfield fight we've continued to have throughout the entirety of the sprint race that's taken so far. Dark Viper GT into the pit lane as well, but focusing on the fight so far, if we look at Hayden Gillis right now, absolute Sunday drive, enjoying himself in the sun of Austria. Yeah, not a sweat dripping from his visor. And right now, as we go back to the midfield fight that's continuing to take place here on lap 12 or 14, as they all cross over the timing line on the pit straight, DRS continuing to apply the pressure throughout this field, but due to having no hybrid system, no 3 electric motors, no MGUK, no MGUH. It can make overtaking just a little bit harder, and a yellow flag for Hoodie Pete down in P12, as it looks like he made a mistake somewhere along the way, but it was actually someone a little further up the road, and that is yours sincerely, who somehow is losing out time. I believe he may have a puncture of sorts. Adam Sanderson going up to P4, making a fantastic move through turn 4 against F1 Damien in P5, and giving the Trident a perfect opportunity to try and fight just a little bit higher up the field.
Yeah, they're really batting away here, and I do sense a bit of frustration behind the wheel of the Premier car of F1 Alex. He's going to try and get past Chesnoid Gaming here at the moment, and I feel that he is sitting right in the mirrors. If you look there, just below the @Trident team on the Instagram, you can see there the mirror, and there is a Premier car right in that mirror, trying to fill it up as much as possible. F1 Alex needs to get as many points as possible here, but it's going to provide to be very, very difficult for these drivers, because they're at the moment just fighting away with each other. But some really decent point there going to be given to a lot of these drivers. Adam Sanderson needed this, so did Dragonflies, so did F1 Alex. They just continue to battle away here in these latter stages of the Grand Prix, or the sprint race, my apologies. I can still sense some more fierce battles as F1 Damien is trying to overtake Adam Sanderson.
But that's not the only one. Chesnoid Gaming just behind is actually also trying to sneak up a move on the outside line. Has a perfect opportunity. It may even become 3 abreast, and does become 3 wide into turn 4. Fantastic racing on display. No contact made. F1 Damien on the inside line, curving around the curb, and sees himself up to P4, defending the inside as tightly as he can, putting the pressure on. Chesnoid falls down to P5 as he can't seem to get by him. Adam Sanderson, the real loser from that, down to P6 now. 2/10 off Chesnoid Gaming. Both Tridents losing out to the Invicta. And as we continue through Austria, and as we continue through on the final lap of racing, Hayden Gillis starting through through the first corner, as he can now cruise like he has been doing this entire time. 1.4 seconds separate him from Krizix in P2. Obviously racing still well and truly pressurizing themselves here in the midfield, or at least the higher part of the midfield from P4 and P3 well and truly starting to separate themselves from F1 Damien. But look at P5 here, Chesnoid Gaming on the outside line, looking to try and get the rotation necessary. Outside line doesn't seem to get the throttle down in time, though. He was blocked out by the F1 Damien, so he just had to lift for a little bit longer. But using the added DRS and slipstream effect, goes on the outside line, rotates through, avoids the gravel trap, but no, just scrapes across it a little bit. That sees F1 Damien in P4 as Dragonfiles continues just scraping in those podium positions. Chesnoid Gaming still 4/10 behind F1 Damien. Adam Sanderson down in P6. Yorit goes up to P10. But Hayden Gillis has had a fantastic race, did everything to perfection, and ART on his return to Formula 2 wins the Austrian sprint race. Krizix will come home in P2, Dragonfiles in P3 for High Tech GP, F1 Damien in P4, P5 Chesnoid Gaming, P6 Adam Sanderson, P7 F1 Alex, P8 U-Pandas, P9 will be Zach RC, but with a penalty to his name, it will end up being Yorit, who moves up to P9. P10 is Zach RC, P12 and 11 Zach RC and Dan Moran in P12. Sorry, P13, yours sincerely. 14 Patterson. P15 is looking to be Lolanobas. These guys have not even crossed the timing line yet, and Dark Viper GT has from getting blue flagged. Patterson will finish in P14. Lolanova, a man who has consistently won for the past 3 rounds in every sprint and feature you threw at him. He saw that gold trophy. Not on this occasion. He takes the fastest lap, a 1:13.702. But on that occasion, that is the only number 1 he'll see next to his name, apart from the number 1 before 5 to represent P15. And that is unfortunate. But he has an entire feature race and one-shot qualifying for himself to potentially win in the feature race ahead of us. So, opportunity still lies for the team from Dams.
They really, really do, and I think a really super race we had. So much action going on, and it was pretty difficult to try and keep up with. But there is Hayden Gillis, and he will step on the top step of the podium with pride, holding the Union Jack. Will lift the trophy and will celebrate this victory very much wholeheartedly. And yeah, very much looking forward to seeing what the feature race has, because of course I will get the dynamics really changing up with the mandatory pit stop. How are you going to play it? Will you go onto the mediums? Where will you put your hard tire? Where will you try and get that fast tire out the way? But there are your final results. Hayden Gillis there in P1 ahead of Cryzix and Dragonfly in the high tech. He puts himself in P3, followed by F1 Damien, who had a tight battle there with the two tridents of Chesnoy Gaming, finishing ahead of his teammate Adam Sanderson. Then F1 Alex there in P7, followed by Up and Daz, the American driver in the MP Motorsport, rounding off the point with Jorik van Heffen and Hoodie Pete in P10. Dakar C there in P11, unfortunately with the 3-second time penalty, followed by Dan Moran, who finishes in P12 in his return. Yours sincerely, Patterson, Lolanoba down in 15, followed by Jess Bull, B-Roy, Dark Viper, and then the two retiring Jack Social because of a spin and a hit, and then Dirk Chocolate retiring early on in the pit lane. So unfortunate for some, but absolute glory for others. What a very, very interesting story we've had for pretty much that entire story, because there was almost a tale of two halves when it came to that. In a way, entire race. You had some driver that had an absolute joyride, like Hayden Gillis, of course. Dragonfly's there as well, getting the points that he needed. You could also throw in Adam Sanderson, who had a big battle with his teammate, luckily, avoiding minimal contact. But then you also, on the other hand, you had Olanoba, who had a bit of a disappointing, massively disappointing race from his standards. In the last 6 races, then going off to just finishing P15, a lowly P15 after making a pit stop. Zach RC, I think, was definitely running up in the high positions. Unfortunate for him being involved in contact and that 3-second time penalty taking him back, and also unfortunate there for Dirk Chocolate retiring at the end of the first, slap. But also kind of goes out there to Jack Socials, lost it from the leader of the race, and then got a big old whack from another car. I don't remember who it was, but that was his race done and dusted right there on the spot.
Well, you have to also consider that people who start higher up in the sprint races also lower down in the championship. Now, I'm not saying that there is a problem in terms of skill here, just before I am shots fired, but no, I think it also gives a higher opportunity for other drivers as well, because they are higher up in the championship. They're clearly doing better for themselves this season, and maybe that gives them better opportunities. I mean, think about it in the way that maybe endurance takes place with driver rating, how you have bronze and silver, and then you get pro and then gold and pro-am. Different ways of seeing that, but I think it was just unfortunate on his side. Had a spin, and then, as you mentioned, had contact as well, and it kind of ruined his race from there, and unfortunately just kind of fell apart. And in a similar sense, that was Lolanoba in the beginning of the race. He had a really good start, but unfortunately had a bit of contact and a bit of a pile up that took place at turn 3. Got stuck on the outside line, and unfortunately he just couldn't seem to get himself ahead and kind of got himself stuck in the middle of it all, and unfortunately missed out big time on that side.
Yeah, definitely. I think that he'll look to come bouncing back, especially in that feature race where dynamics will completely change in this one. But there is the driver standard, just updated. Lolanoba still in P1. F1 Alex only getting 2 points to his name, so it's not a massive improvement there. But also you see there Dragonflies managing to take third there. He was still in third, but that extra 6 points we're seeing for sure that they are going to be for sure they're going to be crucial come end of the season. Adam Sanderson there in P4 with Dark Chocolate as well. And so, it's going to be just massively interesting. Also, of course, Hayden Gillis jumping up to P9, so he's going to need those results, and especially could find himself up to 5th place by the end of this, by the end of the feature race. Also, Dirk Chocolate, unfortunately, just handing over a few points, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? One thing I love to see, especially when it comes to the championship and the driver standings, is if you compare it to the first round of the championship and then consider it to right now or the end of the championship or, more towards the present time, you always see a big shift in positions in terms of drivers and points, obviously. But if we do refer to that, obviously we had Adam Sanderson, I believe, who was in P2, and it was Dragonfiles who was in P1 originally, and that's kind of fallen away now. Lolanoba's had this huge push up through the field. That consistency, that constant pace, week after week, has allowed himself to have 124 points to his name and into P1. And F1 Alex also keeping that consistency, P3 on multiple occasions. And it's just interesting to see how drivers continue to move up and go down as, time progresses, and how their pace may, stay in that formality. They keep that consistency, or maybe it will start to fall away a little bit, and it shows that pattern in the championship. But it's been a fantastic championship so far, and, we're into round 5 now, I believe. Yes, round 5? Yep, not wrong on that occasion. But yeah, no, plenty of rounds still remaining, and here at Austria, I mean, to be this close, even between P1 and P2, which is 35 or 36 points, it's still anyone's, championship to win for, and it's still anyone's, bargaining chip.
Yeah, for sure. It's still open. Absolutely. You can see there, just especially in the lower stages of, well, I should say the lower positions of that championship, you could definitely expect if someone has one really good round from that second pile there, right on the right hand side, somebody's going to go shooting up into that top 10, and it's going to be it's going to be great for them and bring so much confidence, especially if they find those extra little pieces that they need to the puzzle, that Formula 2 car, to be able to put themselves in winning contention, like we saw with Hayden Gillis. He's now put himself up into nice, and another brilliant race in the feature could fling him up right into 5th place out of Dirk Chocolate and Chesnoid. So yeah, just be prepared. I think he's going to be the one to really look out for in this feature race as well. I think Lola Noble will be looking for a good round, but also F1 Alex. I think he was quite on the aggressive for this race. The body language of that Prema F2 car was quite aggressive. He didn't want to back down from any maneuvers there. And I just wonder if that was maybe a little bit costing him, because we saw a lot of debris flying, and you don't want that on your car whatsoever. So I'd love to see how both those two, Hayden Gillis and F1 Alex's mindsets, go into this feature race. What do you kind of think on those parts, Jamie?
I think it comes down to two things. It's rather if you're confident as a driver, or if you're desperate as a driver. I think there's different situations where they apply to both. If you're confident, you're ready to make moves whenever you're ready to make, deep lunges down the inside, or go for, unique moves that you don't normally see at a circuit. And then there's desperation. Let's say it's the final lap of racing. You have one final opportunity to make a move, even if it's for the win, for that matter. And if that is, the case for something like that, then maybe a desperation starts to kick in, and you start making moves that maybe shouldn't be taking place, or you may find yourself in a much higher percentage, a much higher chance of seeing yourself, picking up debris, or being in a collision, or being out of the race in total. There are certain aspects where both of those things start to kick in. But I think in the case of F1 Alex, I think overall he's just a very confident driver. And I think in some cases, if he hasn't made that move yet, then that desperation starts to settle in a little bit more. But I think if he just gets into the zone, he gets into flow state, and he puts his head down, then we could see quite an exciting qualifying, but also an exciting feature race for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a driver that's always looking to make something up here. We now move on to our wonderful calendar, yes, which it's always super to look at. So let's just go through. Had Monaco as our season opener. That's always been a May kind of race, but of course for our F2 race calendar for season 7, it is our season opener. Then we go into Canada, followed by Qatar. Then we went into Spain, followed by the Red Bull Ring. Then we've got a break next week for your wonderful British Grand Prix. But then we get the fan vote, so get your votes in or whichever race you want our F2 drivers to feature with. And it's going to be the 2 European races of Hungary and Spa, followed by, it's going to be Melbourne Melbourne, followed by Las Vegas with Abu Dhabi, then the Netherlands, followed by Monza. Now, into one-shot qualifying here. Jamie, please take us on a wonderful lap of the Red Bull Ring.
I'd love to. As soon as these drivers want to get going, and that's exactly what they will do. And looks like Hayden Gillis will lead us away in P1 for the time being. Chrysics in P2. As I'm trying to make my way up the field, it can be a little difficult at times, but I'm currently on board with F1 Alex. We'll switch to Dark Viper GT as we take a lap here around the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. Already past turn 1 and turn 2, the slight kink as you go up in elevation. It is not shown well and truly enough here in F1 24, but the elevation is very high as we make our through the Austrian hills. And as we continue through, a Dark Viper GT currently sitting on P3. Let's move up to Lolanova in P1, continuing to show his competitive side race after race, round after round. Out of the exit of turn 4, you really want to try and maximize the outside, but also make sure you're getting the apex as you turn on from the inside to the outside, so you're maximizing the corner the best to the best of your ability. Continuing out of the exit of 6 and now into 7 on the apex of the corner, you want to let the car flow through. You don't want to force the steering, otherwise you'll let the rear kick out and you may see yourself going into the gravel trap, which is found on the outside line. Then you continue into 8, which then goes into 9 and 10, where then you need to just manage your throttle, keep the steering as close as possible to the outside, but also don't allow your car to go over the white line. And what a lap we see. Lolanova does take pole position with a 1:13.022, and Formula 2 cars matching up pretty similarly to what you may see rain pace-wise in Formula 1 cars. But a Lolanova taking that P1 in a circuit which is 6 times, actually, hang on, want to quickly check that. Yes, 6 times smaller than the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
That's a great fact there, but
there you go.
The results are in. A Dams lock out the front row with Lolanova ahead of Chrysics. Let's just speed through the Dark Chocolate there in P3. Brilliant qualifying session from him. There's the 2 ARTs with Hayden Gillis and Dark Viper with F1 Alex there in P6 with Adam Sanderson in P7 with Dragonflies. Then it's going to be Chesnoy Gaming and up and down to complete the top 10 with F1 Damien, with Dan Moran, Zach RC, Jess Bull, Hoodie P, Yours Sincerely, B Roy, Jordan Van Heffen. Jack Socials down in 19th after his leading in the sprint race, and Platson, the Yorkshire man, will lead us away in the, well, he finished, will be in last place, unfortunately for him. So whilst we get our, I believe our lobby, no, it's not going to be a lobby reset, it's going to be into the feature race. And
yes,
yeah, for sure, it's going to be a great feature race.
And obviously
we will not have a formation lap because of course, sorry, we won't have that formation lap, but yeah, we'll just go straight into the race and prepare for absolute chaos like we saw at the beginning of that sprint race. But we've got mandatory pit stops into play here, so it's going to be super interesting. Jamie, take us away until lights out.
I'd love to, and I was going to mention how there was no formation lap, but you took my words away, and nothing against it, obviously. Getting the point across, no formation lap, we get straight into the racing action. Lolanova will start on pole position after what has been, well, a disappointing sprint race for his standards, and I'm sure he'll be looking for only improvements. It's 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. The lights go out, and it's pedal to metal here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Here for round 5, Season 7 in Creator Series. It's an even getaway for P1 and 2. Chrysics has to get out from that move on the inside line. Lolanova continues into turn 1 in P1. Upan is up to P10 in the MP Motorsport, going 3 abreast in the midfield position, starting to split itself apart though. Now as we go a little further up, Chesnoy Gaming in P9, now sending it down the inside, going into turn 3. Looks like a little bit of contact made. Adam Sanderson now up to P6 as he continues to fight away with Hayden Gillis in P5. Dark Viper GT holding his position in P4, 2 abreast against Dirk Chocolate, and also Chrysics in P2, sending it down the inside as Dirk Chocolate. But now as Chrysics on the inside line, it was actually Dirk Chocolate who went on the outside line, but going into turn 6, can Dirk Chocolate size up a move against Chrysics in P2? Looks like he's got it all controlled, defending the line that Dirk Chocolate is trying to send it on. Right now, continuing to slide across the track a little bit, potentially a little bit more used to the Formula 1 setups compared to Formula 2, but Dirk Chocolate continuing to rotate through, getting onto the outside curb, maximizing the circuit. Little bit of a rear loss from Chrysics, and P2 may fall into the hands of Dirk Chocolate. Chocolate, now P3 fighting with P2. A little bit more contact to the side pod, sends it down the inside, and Dirk Chocolate is up to P2 in a moment's notice. Nip and tuck right through into turn 1, and Dark Viper GT, as I mentioned before, is going like a Boeing and continuing up towards the top of the hill, finds the rotation, makes sure to try and make the move, sticks like contact by Chrisix to the rear end of Dark Viper, but Dirk Chocolate seems to get the betterment from the outside line, goes up to P2, MP Motorsport versus ART in a head-to-head battle, but now it's Chrisix down in P6 fighting with F1 Alex in P5, continuing to go wheel to wheel. A little further up, it's Adam Sanderson in P4 against Dark Viper GT, going into turn 6 again, tries for the rotation of the car, nearly goes into the gravel trap, stays on the AstroTurf, and Adam Sanderson trying to get the throttle down for dear life, can't seem to do it, and Dark Viper GT stays in P3.
Brilliant start there, almost 2 laps of absolute chaos there, and I think that Dirk Chocolate there in that MP Motorsport was saying on the team radio, let's just get their head down and focus up here, because it's going to be a long race, 20 laps in these Formula 2 cars. These guys are really have to go hammer and tong here, and I wonder how much they're going to battle in here. Credit to Adam Sanderson, managing to put his way from that 4th row of the grid, now up into P4, and now on the attack here of Dark Viper here. Look at Hayden Gillis, he's on the attack as well, as he looks to try and make his way up the inside of the high tech of Dragonflies, so manages to overtake him there, and he's really hot on the tail here of Cryzix as well. The damage driver just been dropping and dropping and dropping. Is Sanderson going to have a look at a move? Big lockups in toward that right-hander of turn number 4, and they'll power their way with their 1.6 litre V6 Mechachrome Formula 2 engine. 3 wide going in towards turn 6 here. Big snap from Dark Viper in that black and red Sauber Academy Cape livery in the ART team, and that is Jorrit van Heffen. Not a great day for the Van Amersfoort team. They've had their struggles, especially in this latter half of this broadcast. But really looking to see how they can bounce back here. Big tyre choices here, the super softs and the soft tyres being a big mix of chances here. Really interested to see how they're both going to go here. They continue to power their way up the hill once again. More moves incoming.
Their racing has been muy bien. It has been perfecto. And right now, Dark Viper GT sends it down the inside on Dirk Chocolate. The racing continues between MP and ART. MP still finding the advantage through into turn 3. F1 Alex still trailing right behind. And the midfield fight has been simply fantastic to watch the entire time. Right now, we can see Chrisix in P6 starting to bring himself a little closer towards the fight. But there's still seems to be right near the front of this entire fight, and you can see almost 3 wide taking place throughout this. And if we just go a little bit further down to Chesnoid Gaming in P11 at the moment, looks like he's just lost out a little bit of time. 4 tenths now goes to 5 tenths. And if we move just a little further up to P8, you can see where this entire battle is starting with, and that is F1 Damien and Hayden Gillis. Currently in P7 is the ART driver, and Victor Racy still trying to bring himself just a little bit closer towards him. Can't seem to get it done, but Dirk Chocolate once again needing to defend against Dark Viper GT. Down the inside goes the ART, slight contact made to the nose of Dirk Chocolate. And MP Motorsport still trying to apply the pressure to the best of his ability. On the outside line, looks like F1 Alex is going to make it 3 abreast as we go up to the top of the hill towards into turn 3, already out of the exit of Nicky Lauda curb. And as we continue through, getting the throttle down, F1 Alex sneaks into P3. Adam Sanderson down to P4. Chrisix still trying to fight back up into P5 with Dark Viper GT looking for the outside line. It's chaos, and racing has never been been so pressurized before. Right now, Adam Sanderson still in P5, bringing himself closer, and still just can't seem to make the move stick. Dark Viper on the inside line against Krizix, and still 2 abreast as they go into the next corner at turn 7. They're still 2 wide. The racing is fantastic. It is exciting. It is explosive, and they're setting a lap alight at the moment. Right now, inside line is sent. Adam Sanderson moves on to P4. Contact made between the 2 drivers. Dark Viper GT's made contact with Krizix down in P7. F1 Damien almost allowing himself to come closer towards the fight. The entire pit straight has been blocked off in a barricade of cars. This allows the dams to go off the circuit now. ART are following through in P5 and 6. Krizix is in P7. The racing is a big line, and it's still on lap 6 of 20. They don't want to fight until the race is over.
Yeah, you can really tell they're going hammer and tooth and nail here. They're really fighting for every point, because remember, points now fall all the way down to 15th. It's not like the top 10 in the real life Formula 2, which you're going to be seeing on Sunday at the real life Austrian Grand Prix. It's down to the top 15 to give everyone a chance at getting some really good amount of points here. Chocolate was reporting Dark Viper a couple of laps ago here, so I think he was a little bit interested to see what, well, he didn't seem to be liking what he was doing there, so saying very interesting, but he has got his head down and chasing down the very fast F1 Alex here, opening that drag reduction system, because we know there's going to be so much chaos to go around here. You just see that whole pit straight there. It's filled up with so many cars. I think that's all the way down to the Chesnoy Gaming there in P11. So from 2nd down to 11. I think Chesnoy's in the pit lane at this moment in time, making an early pit stop here, but here goes Dark Chocolate. Is he going to attack the Prema car? No, he decides to sit back and just lay down on his sofa, lay down on his laurels here, but he won't be picking them up immediately here. Slipstream down towards turn number 4, pulls to the right hand side. F1 Alex seems to give him a bit of a squeeze here, but then opts to not fight it, goes around the outside. Contact between the 2, and F1 Alex, the man from the Midlands, seems to have lost out in that one. Now has to fend off the actor Adam Sanderson, who's going to be acting out a brilliant battle between these 2 cars here, but he opts to bide his time. I think that's the right option there, Sanderson. Very much known as Devon Butler, maybe a character known for going aggressive, but Sanderson has tried to shape his racecraft in the last couple of seasons of Formula 2 and Create Series. Round the outside goes Dark Viper as Adam Sanderson dips into the pit lane here. But that was a move you rarely see, and I had to give a big amount of credit to Dark Viper. Adam Sanderson now opting to go into the pit lane, get himself out of trouble here, because he was very much starting to get involved in the action. Just wants to find himself in a bit of clear space. Will he be able to maybe get an undercut? So remember that kind of group that he was in. Therefore, Alex to continue to chomp away here with Dark Chocolate and Dark Viper. This is the battle where Sanderson is fighting. So be aware, if any of these guys pair, just remember Sanderson is going to be the one they're going to try and get ahead of. But Dark Chocolate there, retaking P2 there. Just continuing to lose time here as they continue to fight away. Lola Nova has flew up the field. I'm seeing in chat he is absolutely flying in Spielberg here today. But it's just down to those next pit stops. We're in those pit stop phases, and that's where it starts to get very spicy.
Well, I'm not too surprised either way, because Lola Nova is on those soft compound tyres, 7 laps on them compared to the super softs that Dark Chocolate is on. His tyres must be bleeding, and I think my point has just been proven exactly that. Dark Chocolate coming into the pit lane now. F1 Alex will be promoted towards P2, and Dark Viper GT still trying to fight away with the Prema driver of F1 Alex's Lola Nova. Will find a little bit more of an advantage this time around. 8.5 seconds now separate himself to the nearest competitor. Right now, Dark Viper GT is going to go to the outside line, which will quickly switch to the inside as we approach into turn 3, making sure to lock up his front tires. It is a bit weird to say, but it is actually quite a tactical way of braking in these Formula 2 cars. Help you just brake and make sure to release it just before you get into the rotation stage of the car, and then you can find the perfect time to rotate through. And look, now you can see F1 Alex in the Prema back up to P2 as Dark Viper GT continuing to fight away with him as lap and lap continues to pass by Hoodie Pete in P12 as he gets past Dan Moran, who comes into the pit lane. You can see more drivers starting to make the switch, especially drivers who are on the super softs who maybe are starting to regret their decision just a little bit further than the people on the soft compound tires. They can't seem to go the distance than what people on those softs can, and you can really start to see how it's affecting their race in the long term period compared to maybe the short term period that they get in terms of grip and overall traction at the start of the race. Right now, Lolonoba continuing with his pace, and F1 Alex still trying to defend off Dark Viper GT. 3.5 tenths becomes 2.5, then becomes 2 tenths, but can't seem to get the move stuck in stone as he just loses the rear a little bit from locking up his rear. Front tires as his rear swings around, but right now still seems to be a bit more of a line continuing the midfield. It's just starting to separate as time goes on. Well and truly sunny conditions here in Austria today, looking pretty and sunny as ever. And now look at Krizix in P4. DRS Active has a nice time to potentially send this move on him. Inside line, slipstream and toe with a helping hand, follows the apex and the curb, gets a big kick on the rear there. And Krizix still staying in P4, but he's really starting to try and close in that gap a little bit more. Dan Moran with a 3-second time penalty, which is followed up closely by yours sincerely. Race control sticking very closely to those white lines as they always have done in the Red Bull Ring, making sure to be as strict as they ever were. Adam Sanderson goes up to P8 against Dirk Chocolate, who now falls down to P9. Trident finding another position. His teammate, Chesnoid Gaming, still in P11, 2.3 seconds off the pace. And F1 Alex still ahead of him by a second, and that is Dark Viper GT when I refer to him. And right now, Krizix still seemingly just bringing himself closer and closer per lap. It is really starting to close itself up towards P4 and P3, a potential change in the podium positions a little later on. Dirk Chocolate still in P9, still trying to close in that gap to Adam Sanderson, and this is what we were kind of expecting to see happen here in Formula 2. Once we start to dive into the pit lane, we diverge from close racing to a strategic race. All those close battles are starting to separate themselves. Dirk Chocolate still right on the rear end of Adam Sanderson, using the rear diffuser, and the dirty air would not be something you would be looking forward to, but when you start to really close yourself in, using that DRS, you can only find the green, fresh air, and DRS towards your advantage. And Dirk Chocolate making that move swiftly, easily, no problems at all, and up to P8 goes the MP Motorsport driver. And as I mentioned before, this race well and truly becoming more about strategy than the racing on circuit, but racing clearly not settling down as Adam Sanderson and Dirk Chocolate still fighting away here, and a big kick on the rear. And continuing on here, looks like 2:10 separated for Dirk Chocolate. Looks like we may have lost Adam there, but we'll continue with the racing on circuit. Yours sincerely in P14 as he makes a move on Jack Socials down in P15. But let's make our way selves all the way to the top of the field with Lolonoba, who's now 9.3 seconds out ahead compared to anyone else on the circuit so far. Really showing his pace and competitive side as Dark Viper GT almost going 3 abreast there. The midfield has started to climb themselves back together. 11 lap old soft compound tires for the entire field as they battle away. Lap 12 at 20, and looks like F1 Damien has snuck through here, and now Invicta Racing has lit up the racing all over again. Prema down the inside going into turn 4. Yellow flag deployed, but it does not matter when the racing is this close and this extreme. Right now almost 3 wide, and is 3 wide going into turn 6, and is battling like we saw at the very beginning of this race. Krizix with the slight advantage through into turn 7, staying in P3 now. F1 Damien in P4 as Dark Viper GT and the ART continuing to push himself all the way to the limit. Hayden Gillis in P6 still trying to rotate through the corner. Curb just being used as he falls himself into the pit lane. Both Hayden Gillis and F1 Alex coming in from their 11 lap old soft compound tires. So the undercut has now been activated, and does this push the other drivers to potentially consider coming into the pit lane the next time round? U-Pandas with a 10-second time penalty for speeding. Zach RC with a 3-second time penalty. It looks like U-Pandas also will have that and will not get it done on the first time round in the pit lane. So if he wants it removed, he'd have to come back into the pit lane again. So I'm sure it's going to be added to his final time. F1 Damien looking to try and make a move against Krizix in the Dams racing car, the teammate to Lolanova, 11.1 off, and Lolanova looking quite confident and calm in his car. But as racing continues, I'll tell you some drivers who are sweating under their visors, and a safety car has been deployed. And that would be for Zach RC, who looks to have potentially retired from this race. Unsure where that may have taken place, but P20 is out of this race, and the first retirement is now officially started. Now, if anyone was going to potentially think about diverging into the pit lane, they will diverge into the pit lane. There is no other reason not to. Lolanova, your race leader, now also coming in. Krizix P2 coming back in. Dark Viper GT doing the same as well. And everyone following one after the other as we all start to follow each other in a fresh set of tyres. And I can only assume some of the drivers who may have boxed a lap or two earlier will be kicking themselves. The delta would be a huge negative in comparison to the huge advantage that these drivers now get due to the safety car being deployed, who now waits out of the exit of turn 2 at the kink of the back, or at least out of the exit of the Niki Lauda curb straight. And everything just starts to settle down a touch, and everything can calm down a slight bit more as everything just settles under the safety car conditions. But racing will only fire up a little bit more. I mean, look at those tires. If we switch to the tire telemetry, look at the purple that we see continuing to be equipped on every single one of these cars. The pit lane continuing to fire up and put the freshest tires available. A few people still on the softs, and Dirk Chocolate actually decided, as you can see obviously on those 5-lap-old soft compound tires, decided to stay out. So I don't know what potential strategy he may be running, potentially finding a bit more confidence in himself, and finds himself maybe thinking, I don't need to box, I don't need fresh tires, I can do the rest of this race on these soft compound tires. Maybe it's because those soft compound tires can go longer than those super softs can. Potentially in 6 laps of racing, those softs can still be in a better window than what those super softs will be. That is something that will need to be considered, but it still looks to be a pretty even mix of fresh soft compound tires and super softs, just a little bit more purple starting to find its way through the grid and may have the original advantage in the beginning. And Dirk just saying, I trust my own skills around here more than the others. Interestingly enough, maybe I was onto something when it came to his tire decision. 5-lap-old soft compound tires, and maybe deciding not to go on those super softs simply because he believes he will still have the pace by the end of this race. Really start to think about how that may play out in terms of tire degradation, and also considering, and this is the big thing that may have not been considered, safety car and how long it wants to stay out for. The longer it wants to stay out may also decide how that will play out. And Adam is talking, but we can't hear him. We still can't hear you. While we unfortunately settle any of the audio problems with Adam, which is unfortunate, but we'll be making sure to get on top of it. Looks like Dark Viper GT up to P3 on those super softs. May fall back down because of safety car, but seems to be holding on to that position, so may have dropped down and then regained back into his original position just before. But right now you can see the point system at the bottom of the screen, and you get 1 point for fastest lap if they finish in the top 15. Anything below that point, and they will not receive a point for fastest lap, just like how you may see in Formula 1 with the top 10 and in Formula 2, but the same with the top 10. Now, as more drivers continue to line up one after the other, all in a big group of cars like we saw in the very beginning of this race, and like we saw in the sprint race as well. At least we saw a bit more of a pile-up going into turn 3 and the sprint race, and now on this occasion we see a bit more organization and potentially more confidence on these drivers. They start to see a little bit more of a chance to make the most of it. And Hayden Gillis currently in P6, and on his return to Formula 2 hasn't done too bad of a job himself. You know, he clearly hasn't lost out too much of the pace that he originally had, and he's clearly here to still make an impact like we've seen in previous seasons. He actually made the promotion to Formula 1 before being demoted immediately back down to Formula 2 and maybe re-looking for that promotion back up to F1. It is the back and forth of promotion and demotion for a lot of these drivers that keep that encouragement and keep that confidence and keep the motivation and keeps the barrel rolling here in round 5 in Austria, lap 16 of 20. And Lolanoba well and truly had the confidence before. Can he have it before? Is Patterson picking up a DTP drive-through penalty for ignoring yellow flags, so clearly not staying under Delta, and unfortunately has picked that up. Adam, audio, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Okay, so there we go. I was just going to say, just before I decided to, my mic decided to turn off. Yeah, we've had a bit of a carnage, but I've just seen what the retirement was from Zach RC. So let me go over that. I have it on my screen right here. Unfortunately, we can't to the Discord, but he's just heading now towards turn number 2. I think that's B-Roy in front of him. He gets turned by, I believe, one of the Van Amersfoorts of Jorrit, and then Zach RC just has nowhere to go, slams into the Campos. The Campos survived, but unfortunately Zach RC doesn't. So that is super.
I hate to interrupt too, but obviously safety car is in this lap as well. But it was unfortunate for Zach RC to retire racing. Nearly ready to go underway again. Lolanoba does go flat to the floor, pedal to the metal around the final corner, gets the rotation necessary and gets a good getaway. No problems from behind as Dirk Chocolate continues in P2. Racing looking well and truly clean for the most part, but that's never how it goes on a normal safety car restart. So we'll have to wait and see how this continues, especially in a place like Formula 2. Lolanoba doesn't seem to have any pressure from behind, neither does Dirk Chocolate in P2 on those soft compound tires. We mentioned before how he felt confident with his soft compound tires. We'll have to wait and see how that holds up against the super softs and how much traction and grip he gets by the end of this race. If there is an opportunity to have a little talk with him in interviews, we'll have to wait and see how his mentality may change by the time we reach lap 20. But enough about interviews. It looks like a move trying to be sent by Dark Viper of GT in P3. Can't seem to get it done. F1 Damien moves up to P4 against Krizix in P5, and still racing taking place at the highest level, at the most competitive level, and Krizix still trying to find the maximum rotation possible. Can't seem to get it done, but he's just closing in inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter, and still just can't seem to get the move done. Like I said, with no hybrid system to the availability of these Formula 2 cars doesn't help in terms of torque and power, and just means you have to be a little bit closer to make a move stick on the board. As Dark Viper GT 4.5 tenths off Dirk Chocolate in P2, still trying to bring himself closer, and a little bit further down the field is the Trident of Chesnoid Gaming, who moves up to P15 from P16 against Jessica Ball, who's now 7 tenths off him, and in P17 with B-Roy now moving up to P18 from Patterson coming into the pit lane to serve his drive-through penalty, and Dark Viper GT on the outside line looking to potentially make a move stick for Dirk Chocolate in P2.
Yeah, absolutely. Some superb passing all the way through the field. Viper's going to go now to the outside of Dirk Chocolate, just trying to see if he can maybe make one stick around the outside. Lays on the brakes, lock up all the way down hill, but managed to stick to that left-hand left-hand side pod of the Red Bull Caves. Dirk Chocolate MP Motorsport, but around the outside, who's going to hold on? Who's going to be the first to back out? It is not going to be Dirk Chocolate. It looks like it's going to be Dark Viper, but immediately back into the slipstream, and already now on the left-hand side, F1 Damien's going to be slowly creaking in, as well as Krizix, who managed to take a P2 last time around in the sprint race. Almost had a good run going into that last corner, but that was going to be the last place you want to overtake in that one. Now pulling to the middle of the circuit, it looks like Dirk Chocolate can really feel the pressure. To the outside goes Dark Viper, but immediately gets the door slammed in his face. DRS enabled here, and this is going to be a straight run, a straight drag race, which is going to be won there by Dark Viper. Dark Chocolate's going to be looking at pressure from behind there. There goes F1 Damien up the inside there. 3 wide. That's going to be the Dams. Oh, Crytek's trying to make it in there as well. He wanted to go around the outside, be the hero, but unfortunately just couldn't be there because he was now just forced around that out long way round. Dark Chocolate just is able to get that inside line, almost force him out there. And look at Hayden Gillis, F1 Alex, all in behind. They want a piece of this action. They are grabbing the popcorn. They've eaten it all. They've thrown it away and said, right, time to get involved here. There's some big points on the line here. It's the replay of Zach RC. So this is what I was talking about earlier. It's a little bit too wide there through Nicky Lauda curve. Just look up ahead there. That is Yorit and B-Roy. Contact between two there. Speared the Campos into the barrier. Just could not avoid the Campos there. It was just spinning out of control and in a complete dust into a complete smoke screen. Unfortunately there for Zach. That is going to be a big one, but the last lap of the race, and it's going to be down to the wire, especially for these podium places. Dark Viper there in second, F1 Damien there in P3, then Dark Chocolate down to P5 here. Aiden Gillis is going to look to try and take this position, but there goes Crytek in that Dams racing car, the team based in Le Mans, right next to the Mulsanne Straight. We all know that famous Mulsanne Straight, and can Crytek now try and go for second? He's got Damien, he's going to go for Viper here, around the outside, and look to try and get
contact made though!
Contact.
Confidence and desperation really starting to show themselves between the two. Dark Viper GT now goes up to P2. Lola Nova separated by 4.8 seconds. And F1 Damien goes up to P3. And all because of that little bit of contact. Debris just spreading just a little bit more. Yellow flag for Patterson down into P19. Yellow flag deployed, but it's way too late for that. Lola Nova around the final couple of corners had a fantastic race. No sweat for the entirety of it. Perfect qualifying, perfect race. Lolanova wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Dark Viper GT finishes in P2. P3 is F1 Damien. P4 Krizix. P5 Dark Chocolate. P6 Dragonfiles. P7 Hayden Gillis. P8 F1 Alex. P9 Adam Sanderson in the Trident. P10 Hoodie Pete for Pramer. P11 the Roden Carlin of Jack Socials. P12 is the Invicta Racing of Dan Moran. P13 is U Pandas. P14 Chesnoid Gaming. P15 is Jessica Ball. P16 Yorson Zilly. P17 Urit Jan Van Geffen. P18 B-Roy. P19 Patterson as he comes swinging around the final corner. A bit more of a donut because why not? A bit more of a showmanship. More than anything else, he knows he's finishing down in P19 and nothing lower than what that can offer. And Patterson will continue to go round and round just for a bit more of entertainment. But is the man in P1, Lolanova, in the Dams Racing, back on form from what we saw in the sprint race. But was there any doubt in anyone's mind that it was going to be anyone else? His consistency, his pace, his entire drive has simply been incredible. And a little bit more irony for down in P5 for Dark Chocolate, who seemed to have the confidence to potentially keep his position for those soft compound tires. He ends lower than where he originally expected him to be, and unfortunate for the MP Motorsport, who just seemed to carry a chip on his shoulder. And as we can also see, Patterson has gone right into the front end of Lolanova, but no change in position for anyone. It will finish in the same way as it started. Or sorry, more specifically, how it originally ended. And Jack Socials is crown driver of the day here, though I believe us as commentators will have maybe slightly different opinions on that.
Yeah, well, I think we'll be able to choose our own in that one. But the Italian flag once again reigns held high on that podium, and normality seems to be restored once again. A trophy is going to be sent back home to Le Mans for the Dams Racing team. Champagne is sprayed, the celebration begin, and of course we'll be back in 2 weeks time for the Van Vote Grand Prix, a race where you'll be able to vote your Grand Prix of choice. We actually haven't spoken about that. We never spoke about the fan vote, but
no.
I'm sure we'll go back to the when we go back into cameras, we'll start having a bit of a talk with that before we go into interview. But there are your final results. Of course, Jamie went through those wonderfully, but some decent point there for the likes of Hayden Gillis and F1 Alex. But could they have asked for more? Maybe a little bit. Also, Adam Sanson down there in P9, but it's been a really, really decent race from everyone here. I've really, really enjoyed Austria, and it's really just been given us a big gift for the bow tie on top and a bouquet of flowers, maybe even 2 bouquet of flowers, because I love a good bouquet of flowers.
I can't relate. I've never had a bouquet of flowers, so I can't say.
Neither have I.
It's anyway. Back to the action at hand. I'm sure there will be some interviews that will be done, but what a race! I mean, I speechless on many parts of it, but the crowding on some parts of that Grand Prix, I mean, the racing got so tight and the cars just continued to find a way with each other, scrapping almost at each other, trying desperately to make, positions, and that difference between confidence and desperation on that final lap. We saw so many drivers really starting to push the limit, when they can make a move, how they're going to make the move, what corner they're going to do it, and just trying to use different techniques and different lines and trying to maximize it to the best of their ability. Some working out well, some making contact by the end of it. We saw a sandwich as well going into lap 20 of 20, and that lost out a few positions. And we're just going to be making our way over to the standings here for what we can currently see. And I believe this is the now updated drive standings. We can see Lolanoba with 150 points to his name, simply smashing it out the park again. F1 Alex still staying in P2 with 99, and so does Dragon Files with 98. Adam Sanderson now in P4 with 90 points to his name. Dirk Chocolate with 49. Krizix in P6 with 47. Dark Viper GT continues to make his name up through the field. And what I actually find quite ironic, if we look at the reserve list, Pondin, Only Vic, and Howick were actually replaced by Dark Viper GT, Krizix, and Jack Socials. Krizix finds himself up in P6. Dark Viper finds himself up in P7. And Jack Socials, unfortunately, did not have the race compared to others, doesn't find himself inside that top 20. However, it's intriguing to see so many reserve drivers really starting to fight their way into quite high positions in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been mega, and especially it's starting to kind of close up in that middle part of the standings. Of course, we will go into that. We'll be able to go into that, of course, playoff at the end of the season. So at the moment, I think those spots are filled out by F1 Alex, Dragonfly, Flies, and Adam Sanderson, and Dirk Chocolate. But from what I'm hearing, there aren't going to be any playoffs. So thank you for the reminder for. The mystery man in my ear, or I should say mystery person in my ears, but it's a bit of a shame. But I'm just having a look at chat. You can get involved in Creator Series, !Discord to join the Discord server. A lot of support there for Lolanoba in chat. Thank you very much for Dirk Chocolate for the raid, and I'm seeing everyone coming in there, but a lot of shouts for him to go into Formula 1 there, so a big potential. Absolutely big potential for him to join the highest rank of the Creator Series, and for sure he'll be a brilliant addition to that amazing grid. I'm sure that both of us will be able to commentate maybe next season or even this season. We'll see how it goes.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how the season develops, and anyway, but yeah, no, it's been a fantastic season so far. Round 5 coming to an end, and round 5 clearly not disappointing in any front of that. Sprint race was fantastic. The qualifying was incredible. Lap times really starting to show who's got the pace, who doesn't, who's trying to nickel for different positions. And then you've still got the feature race as well. Who can get on top of one another? It was Lolanoba once again, and just seemingly so competitive, so consistent, has the pace round after round. But we had such a close midfield, and even lower midfield between maybe around P12 to P9. It was so close throughout the entire field, and really showed how competitive and how dedicated these drivers are to the cause and for the Formula 2 Championship here in Creator Series.
More raids coming in. Thank you so much, Hoodie Pete. Thank you so much, Lolanoba, of course, winner of the feature race. So he is absolutely... We're getting spam chatted here. Absolutely incredible stuff. Thank you so much for joining in here. It is absolutely amazing. I think we're still waiting on maybe someone to join the interview waiting room. We don't have anyone at the moment. I think a couple of words we go over on. And before, I think we've got to talk about two things. The first thing we've got to talk about is a driver of the day. Second thing, of course, of the fan vote Grand Prix. We've making little predictions. But first of all, let's go on to that driver of the day. Jamie, let's start it. Do you have any driver, or do you need to think about it a little bit?
You know what? I think it's pretty clear cut, but a little bit of a thought process may be needed, simply to go over the different sessions, positions, times, who made the most positions, who, obviously, as I mentioned before, just trying to see and evaluate who has the best stats of them all, who is the driver of the day. And I think a lot of people in the Twitch chat may dislike me for this because I'm going with the obvious option, but I think it's also the best option. That consistency, the time he gained both in the sprint race and the feature race. I mean, yes, he didn't finish in position in the sprint race, but he still managed to find more time. He was closing in. It was just from slight mistakes that he had in collisions with other drivers that he couldn't seem to get that normal position that we see him in. But then qualifying and the feature race, he nailed out the park. Everything to simple perfection. And that would have to go to Lolanoba in P1.
Interesting super interesting from that one. You I kind of get where you're coming from with that one, but did have a little struggle in the sprint. But I don't want to give it to our winner, because here in Creator Series sometimes we don't like to give it to a winner. There's no no bad kind of thing about the winner, but do you kind of like to give
I made him
like to give it away to other kind of people. I want to throw in the name in the hat here. Of course, Hayden Gliss as well. I think that he had a really good sprint, despite being away for the last 2 weeks, and honestly put in a really, really good shift in that feature race. Now getting on to interviews, we have got a couple of people waiting. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, and we have got our first interviewee, Lolanoba.
Hi, hello.
You hear it? Hello, it's good to have you. First of all, shall we just kind of go through kind of that whole entire wavelength for you? Because let's start off with the sprint, because it was a difficult sprint race for you. You had a lot of issues. I think that all down to being in the middle of the pack, because we know how difficult that is.
Yeah, I was in 8th position, I think, in the first lap from the last, and I found some Red Bull car in the middle of the sector 2. So I was so unlucky I destroyed the wing. I'm so sorry for the contact, but I really found him spun, so I can't really do nothing. But really good for the race. The only thing I can do in the sprint is to remove the fast lap from someone. So it's okay. It can happen. It's the race.
Did that kind of just tell that kind of a message to everyone saying, I'm still here, I'm still fast, try and get me?
No, don't start from behind, guys. Never. It's really difficult. It's really difficult from behind to.
So, in your own way, you're suggesting don't be P1 in the championship.
Yeah, please, guys. I want to stay P10, so I start in front. The sprint race is so difficult because you need to come back really fast for take some points. So I really need to go fast than the race. So I really need to destroy my wheel, really.
And then of course, tell us about that lap around. Sorry, Jamie, but let's just talk about that lap around the Red Bull Ring, because there's not many corners around the Red Bull Ring. But how difficult of a challenge is it to get that Formula 2 car around this incredible circuit?
I think the first sector is the most difficult, because I need to traction very fast, especially in turn 3, to find 2-3 tenths. I need to improve in this track. Really, I miss like 2 tenths, but the first sector is really difficult, and the last corner for track limits.
Going into next season,
Jamie,
how confident are you in terms of finding that, I guess, promotion up to F1? Obviously, we don't have the playoffs like we would have in previous seasons, but in terms of being selected going into F1, I mean, I'm sure you believe you're doing enough to get into Formula One.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you. I need to push for going F1. Is really much difficult, the F1, but now I'm focusing only in F2, so need to do this championship. After I can talk about F1. Really need to stay focused, because from now to the last race, I need to win. Yeah, it can happen all.
Obviously, apologies for interrupting. Next week we have a break week, and obviously it gives you an opportunity to get some practice in, or have a break, or whatever you would like to plan for.
No need to break.
no need to break, only practice.
No.
But obviously, the week after we have a mystery GP round here in Formula 2. How do you prepare for something like that? How do you somehow predict what track you're going to be at and practice for it and get a setup ready for it?
Oh, I don't know. I just go in time trial, take all the setup, go in one circuit, and train as much as I can. I need to get luck. I really don't know what can happen. So I need really to have some luck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? Let's throw it out there. If you were a fan and you had an opportunity to vote for, in 2 weeks' time, the Fan GP vote, what circuit would you like to drive around?
That's a good question, because I think I take some circuit there is no in the calendar, so maybe Silverstone from the last week, Silverstone or Imola, I think. I don't know. I think Imola.
I think. I mean, to be honest, I don't know what to think, except it's a good selection. Silverstone or Imola, both are technically challenging circuits, especially around the second sector. Actually, for both circuits, for that matter. Obviously, Imola is just a little shorter compared to Silverstone. Silverstone doing the whole different types of parts of the circuit. You have many straights, you have more technical parts. Think about Cops and Maggots and Beckett's, and then you've got different parts to range from. But whatever circuit seems to seem your fancy. I mean, you seem to be quite a confident driver. You seem to have pace on your side, and you've picked up another win in your favor. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We're good.
Hello, guys.
Hello, welcome in, Duck Viper. So let's just kind of start off with the sprint race, because you had quite a strong sprint race. Would you kind of admit, or was there still some things missing in that one?
I think I'm just gonna say I think I could have won, because like Lolly Nova had his issues and I also had mine. Cause if it's if buts and maybes. I got jack spun and I completely lost my wing. So from then on, I was just trying to fight the pack. I think I loved the start of the sprint. We should just stop the count after like lap 2 or something. My personal opinion.
What's it like trying to just get involved in all those battles and just try and just keep clean? Because my goodness, it was breathtaking to watch you go side by side with everyone else. Just tell us from your point of view, what was it like?
I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified every time. I was holding my breath so much, like, because these guys are like, to me, they're still like, oh wow, I'm racing with them, like to be on the same track with some of these people, it's really cool. And I was just praying, like, fingers crossed I didn't take anyone out. Sometimes I was losing the car and I had to like gather it back up, but it was so fun. Like the clips could be insane. Really high potential there.
Dark Viper, you've had another fantastic weekend in your favor, and just considering this championship and this season overall, you're not actually a full-time driver, you're a reserve driver, and it's another opportunity for you to be on this circuit and in this championship. And funnily enough, you've actually managed to get yourself quite high up as a reserve driver. So do you believe if you were on this, on this championship, full-time driver, race after race, having that opportunity to really score some solid points for yourself, you'd be even higher up than where you currently see yourself, maybe even into fighting positions, considering potentially even into the top 3, maybe even P1?
Yeah, like the amount of aura I carry is just insane.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
I had to get the aura in there. Including the brain rot. I don't think P1, because Lolly Nova is just insane. But like as we saw today, you can have some incidents. So like if I was full time, it might give me a bit of a chance to be there. Like certainly, I think P2 would be mine. Be humble and just go for P2.
You okay? Nice. But yeah, no, you've been a fantastic driver, really competitive. I mean, it's been shown throughout every opportunity you've had here in Formula 2, and potentially maybe needed to consider for a full-time seat later on. But on different notes, I want to quickly take a little blast to the past to Qatar, because with that competitive pace, there's been a few mistakes. So may even spoken about this at Qatar in an interview, but when it came to a potential incident in the sprint race on the opening lap, it was quite a large one. It was Pondon who made contact with you at turn 10, which then caused a big pile up with Matty D13 and Adam Sanderson, which caused a lot of debris to spread. Now, I don't know if you had the opportunity to ever speak about that, but that obviously cost you a lot of points that weekend and gave you just maybe a position or two less than where you currently sit in the championship. So do you think maybe if certain incidents don't occur, it could also be towards your advantage?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, since I'm just a reserve, I'm not really wanting to be too high in the championship. And for the sprint races, it's so much better for me to be like, if I lose those points, it's just an extra chance of me maybe winning a sprint race in the future. With like a few extra positions ahead of Lolly Nova. Like the start's there because you can gain so much. I think in one of my Silverstones, I think I gained like 5 positions. If you get that, you like as the race goes on, that's such a good buffer to have. So to me, it's got like its positives and negatives. And obviously, since I'm not really in a championship fight, I'll take the hit. It kind of sucks, but it's still fun.
Right.
Tactical
Is there anything you'd like to add on to that, Adam?
No, to be honest, Dark Viper, you've done an amazing job so far in this season, and honestly, it's been such a pleasure to commentate over you, and best of luck for the final remaining rounds. I'm sure I'll be back on the F2 broadcast to some of your amazing maneuvers as well, but we'll have to move on to our next interviewee. So thank you, Dark Viper, and we'll see you in a moment.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
As he looks to of that one, we've now got F1 Damien, who is just unmuted. I can see the server.
Hello.
Damien, bit of a dramatic race for you as well. You were once again one of those drivers that were very much involved in the pack as well. And what was that like, being involved with so many battles?
It was crazy, the entire race. Like, it was just so close, and we all kept just switching places, like the whole race.
And how would you say you kind of fared in that kind of field of car? Were you happy with your results, or were there still things to be improved?
Yeah, I'm happy with my results. My previous races haven't went so well, and yeah, take the P3.
Would you say that kind of boosts your confidence a little bit?
Yeah, it sure does. In the sprint as well, I was really close to getting P3 as well. I almost caught Dragon up.
Something I'm actually.
Jamie is very, very.
I'm sorry. I'm just. I'm observing something.
He's very, very keen. I can say, go ahead.
So I have observed something, and if I look next to F1 Damien's name in the championship, I see, some points next to his name. He's found himself in P9 before this championship has been, this round in the championship has been considered. And one thing I'm not seeing is a podium. So I do believe this is the first podium for the season for yourself. So how does that feel?
It feels really, really good. This is my first podium in the main race. I know I've had 2 last season in the sprint, but it does feel good having a podium in the main race because you get so many points.
Yeah, and it also helps your case in the championship as well. I believe you are another position or 2 higher, which also helps you potentially in your championship fight against people like Chesnoid and Dirk Chocolate.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the constructors, because if I am not wrong, I am kind of going on a limb here. So if you can give me a helping hand on which constructor you are, I believe it's Virtuosi, right? Yes. Yes. You're down in P8. Fortunately, it's not been the greatest season so far for your team. But do you believe if you continue to get more podiums and continue to try and strive for better results and really trying to show a bit more of your competitive pace, you can find yourself maybe finding higher positions, not only in the Drivers' Championship personally for yourself, but also for Virtuosi Racing, who currently find himself down in P8, maybe up into P5 or even 6 for that matter?
Yeah, I really do. Me and my teammate haven't been doing too good this season. I've had a few stinkers, but I do hope to get up there.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to add onto that, Adam?
Not really anything, but thank you, F1 Damien. I've been
F1 Damien.
A bit poked. Damien.
It's Damien.
Yeah.
Damien. Oh, that's what I've been told in my ears. I'm not going to reveal who the Michi person was to tell me that, but there you go. I'll try to give you a little bit of a poke there.
Shout out to Gareth.
Good luck for your remaining races.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
Oh, it's all fun and games here on the F1 Creators, on the F2 Creators series. It was a great time.
And actually, it's a surprising one to enter into the interview room from one we did not expect. Hayden Gillis, welcome to the interview room. How are we? How do you feel after your drive here for the feature race, but also for your sprint race? Here around Austria. You didn't get the best result, but on your return here in Formula 2, you've had a pretty good effort.
We are back, baby. We've had a bit of time off. We struggled at the start of this season of this game in F2, but to come back now with a race win in the sprint to end the Lowland Bowler dominance. It's over. The back-to-back wins is over for Lowland Bowler. Okay, made a little bit of a mistake in the feature race, broke my front wing, but we ignore that. But all that matters, on top in the sprint, we're a winner again. So I'm happy.
So we don't want to talk about the feature race then?
Oh, we can talk about the feature race. It was still good. Still a good result.
It was. You, I believe it was P5, yes, if I'm not wrong.
P5 crossed the line, P7 after penalty. Sadly, picked up 2 very early on and then just ran a little bit too wide. In that cluster of cars in the early stage, because a lot of people were fighting for P2, it just allowed Lowland Bowler to drive away. I think everyone's decided now, this is Lowland Bowler's season. Let's just not even bother fighting him. Let's everybody scrap on track for P2, because that's what happened in front of me. And sadly, I think Kreisig got caught up with Damien, and then somebody went into the back of me and hit me into Kreisig, and I broke my front side of my right side of my front wing. I think it was yellow, which was okay. It was good enough to stay out, sticking with the slipstream and the DRS of everyone. But through the double left-handers, I'd lose a lot of time, and I'd just barely be able to hold on to the DRS. And sadly, if I made a mistake in that corner at the same time, I'd have to let a car behind me through to then tow me back up to that pack. So it was a little bit unfortunate there. Timing of safety car wasn't great either. I boxed and the safety car came out the last lap. Had the safety car come out and I boxed at the time of the safety car, it would have given me that luxury to fix that front wing. And then who knows what could have happened. But yeah, still really fun race. Good to come back. And it's good to feel like I'm getting somewhere with this F2 car now, which was a lot of fun.
In the championship, you do currently find yourself in P11 with a few points to your name, some solid points, especially in the feature race. I believe that was at Canada. Obviously, you have missed out in Qatar and Spain, so that was that gap in time where you weren't here, and you did miss out on some pretty valuable points. So I guess now that you've come back, you've won a race here in the sprint race, and got solid points in the feature race as well. Is that kind of what you're trying to do now that you're back in Formula 2 and now that you're starting to maybe show a bit more performance and be closer to the front end of this field and you have a better understanding for these Formula 2 cars? Is it trying to maybe maximize that performance and get into higher positions?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the main reason I stepped back down away from F1, yes, okay, I was demoted in the end, but I was always going to come down regardless of what happened, was just because I wasn't enjoying it in F1. It wasn't fun for me, whereas this year I can take more of a relaxed approach with F2. I don't have to do that much practice. Did a few laps yesterday and then did a few more just in the warm-up of my stream. And yeah, that's my real main aim this season. If I get results, that's great, and it's always good fun to win. It's good content comes out of it. But my end goal is just to keep on having fun, enjoy the racing, enjoy the battles with these exceptional drivers that I'm out on track with. And yeah, to have more of that, championship wise, okay, cool. Yeah, there's definitely the rivalries that are within there, and I pick and choose people who I want to have my own individual fights with. Dirk Chocolate, of course, we have a history of good friendship between myself and Dirk, but it's a competitive one too, and he wants to beat me and I want to beat him just as much, and that's one that I'm definitely going to be looking forward to over the course of the rest of the season. Yeah, he's 11 points ahead of me at the moment, but it's not too much. It can easily quickly change, especially with 2 races in F2, so we'll look forward to seeing how that plays out over the rest of the season. Those are sort of my main goals, just to have fun with it, be more relaxed, enjoy playing this game and racing against these content creators again, and then of course have a fight with Dirk till the end of the season, which will be good fun.
I think someone needs to start queuing "Without Me" by Eminem for you for your return here. Anyway, is there anything you'd like to add on to any question, or if you'd like to ask your own question, Adam?
I just wanted to kind of quickly ask, how difficult was it to get used to those F2 cars once again after being away for quite a while?
Surprisingly, it wasn't too difficult. Like it took maybe 5 laps to get to an okayish pace, but even in time trial, I didn't feel great. The lap times weren't great, but I made a few tweaks with setup when I was doing some just like one open lobby before the race. Just changed a little bit with the aero, changed a little bit with the differential, and it suited me a bit more. And it was stuff that I was looking into that I preferred on the F2 car, and the tweaks that I made on the setup to suit me on last year's game, and it's helped. There are still probably issues for me that I'm struggling with on other tracks. Austria felt good, but we could go to I believe it's the fan vote GP after the break week that is the Silverstone weekend. We could get to whatever track that is, and I could be having the same issues. And the biggest issue I'm really having is the stability of the rear. It's getting the car, making sure the car's slowed down enough and not going down too many gears to over-rotate the rear end. And that's what I've been mainly struggling with so much on this game, with the rear end just snapping on me at mid-corner. And I think that's because of the weight distribution. I've not been getting the car slowed down enough, but to a stable point before I chuck the car in. And there's a lot of weight still traveling through the rear of the car, and that's what's been spinning me around. So Austria was good. It's a track that is, breaking a straight line and hairpins. Maybe that suits me a little bit better. We'll see what happens going further on, but that's definitely a few issues that I still need to overcome and get on top of. Braking, I'm locking up massively and it's destroying my tires. So there's still a lot of places to find and improve on, but that's the fun of it, and that's the enjoyment that I love out of this, is that, nothing's perfect. There's always somewhere to improve on, and it's always enjoyable to look at where you are lacking a little bit and trying to work it out. And obviously when you overcome it, it's very joyous.
I mean, how have you
Great
been
detail
with your setup as well? I mean, when it comes to developing a setup and changing certain aspects like the anti-roll bar and your dampers and your toe angle and how you're kind of changing that to kind of suit yourself. Is there like a whole process to that as well, or are you more focused on just trying to get a better understanding for the Formula 2 cars before you focus more on the setup side and more towards the suspension of everything?
Yeah, so really not. I'm terrible with setups, and shout out to the guys at SRC who do supply a lot of the F2 drivers with the setups for this. Now, I didn't have an SRC one for this time around. I just went for one of time trial. I basically saw what Lowland Bowler was doing and Dark Vibe, because I know that those two are very quick. So I took Lowland Bowler's first. It was okay. It wasn't great. It didn't suit me amazingly. I think Lowland Bowler's really aggressive with the car, and that's why he really excels. So maybe his setup is not for everyone. But Dark Viper, it felt stable. It was good, and I was like, okay, let's just. The changes that I made last season, and I only made 2 changes. It was just I actually only made 1. It was just the differential that I was working around that I made changes to last season. So I changed that, and I just changed the aero a little bit to suit more of straight line speed. Because if I was lacking pace or I did make a mistake or whatever, then the lower aero is going to allow me to overtake on the straights. And then if I am a bit of a sitting duck through the corners, as long as I place my car in the right position, I'm going to be difficult to overtake. So those were the main sort of adjustments, and that's really where I am at the moment. I don't really look too much into setup because I don't have that full understanding about it, and it's like I said, I don't want to put a lot of time into the practicing and the behind the scenes, because ultimately I just want to be here to have fun rather than to win it. The first season, that was ultimately to try and win it. I went up against Rob and we had a great championship battle, but now I've sort of taken a step back and yeah, okay, fine, the fun. It's fun and it's more enjoyable, and it feels great when you get that race win, but ultimately I'm just here to have fun and relax with it and not do too much practice and fine tuning with the car.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, it's been a fantastic weekend for you, a fantastic return weekend for you. Obviously, as you mentioned, with your big opening P1 in the sprint race and a solid midfield finish. I believe you said P7 after penalties in the feature race. So it's been a solid weekend for you, solid points on the board, and a solid rise in positions in the championship as well. So I'm sure keep on fighting, keep on moving forward, and try and see in this. The biggest calendar we've had for Formula 2 ever since the creation of it. So I'm sure there's plenty more opportunities for you to make your way through it and have some solid and decent fun with these drivers.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
See ya. Well, Adam, it's been a fantastic evening. It's been fantastic racing, fantastic display when everything was put on the line. And now we come to the conclusion of the stream, but I have to ask you, I'm mixing my words up here. I'll just keep it simple. If we were to do a summary of the race, how would you summarize it?
It was a very, very chaotic race, and I think that's expected around Austria. It's a small circuit with equal cars, and the F2 cars are just so between each other, and it's this pool of drivers, they're able to create some incredible content and create some incredible battles, incredible fighting. Yet it can get a tad argy-bargy, pushy, bashy, crashy, kind of
smashy
in that sense, but I wouldn't go that far. But it does seem to be one of those circuits that will always provide a brilliant race, and it's always like that little star that you see on the calendar. You see Austria, and we're gonna have a banger race there.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you'll be able to see all our clips on all our social media. It's at F1 Creator Series, F1 on YouTube, Instagram, X, and TikTok. So go and follow us on all of there. We've just hit 10K on Twitch, which is absolutely incredible number. We're really just smashing it out of the park, and I think we're both very blessed to be on this incredible broadcast with some amazing drivers' names that we can all have a talk with and show it off to the incredible Formula 1 gaming community.
Well, we're well and truly starting to come to a conclusion here. So let me ask you, where can we find you on social media, Adam?
my social media? Well, you can find me at Motorsport Adam 44 on my TikTok, or if you want, you can go and follow me on my Instagram at AdamReed_commentary. So that's where I'll be posting all of my announcements and all of my announcements, all of my clips, and I'm sure we'll be seeing one of these series clips on there. Yeah, I'll be hiding off to Donington Park tomorrow to do some real life commentary. So if you are around the Midlands near Donington Park, then feel free to come along to watch some brilliant club racing over there. But yeah, before I move on to you advertising, I just want to quickly say we're of course on our break week next week, so there'll be no racing, but you can watch our WRC on Monday at 8 p.m. So be prepared for some rallying action. We take on the gravel courses and the asphalt courses in some brilliant high-performing rally cars. But yeah, there's some really good stuff here coming out of the Creator Series sponsored by EA Sports. But Jamie, where can they find you, you brilliant Australian?
Me as a brilliant Australian, I love it. You can find me on the same platforms on Instagram, JP_M13. I don't make it easy for you people, but yeah, all capital letters, JP_M13. It is the same on TikTok as well. Go give me a follow. Go give Adam a follow, another fantastic commentator who will be having an absolute blinder over in Donington Park. I believe that's a good saying. I don't know the English quotes. I'm just going on a limb here. But yeah, I'm sure he'll be having a great time and doing exactly just as well as he did here tonight. In Creator Series, one day, I'll be at an actual race course doing the same thing. But at the same point, it's been a fantastic evening. We appreciate everyone for tuning in here for Creator Series. And to be honest, I don't think there's much else to say. We've done our driver of the day. We've done our socials. We've shown you that there's going to be a break week at the next week. And, I mean, make sure you get your votes in. We have a fan vote coming up. What track will you choose? Obviously, if there is already circuit on the calendar, that's not going to be a part of the vote. But any circuit that isn't a part of the calendar should be a part of it. So go get your votes in. Will it be Silverstone? Will it be Mexico? Will it be Singapore? Will it be Baku? Any option, anything is up to you fans watching in the Twitch chat, but you're more than fans. You're more than just a number. You are absolutely lovely people. And from me, Jamie Perry, it is goodbye. I'm sure from the same by you, Adam, it is goodbye.
It is goodbye. Take care. Night.
Take care. Cheers. Good night.